Ramzan, Ramzan, यूं कायम है Ramzan, 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 यूं कायम है Ramzan. सदक़े आले मोहम्मद से
Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to another episode of Youth Corner with Jaffri sisters.
It is the month of Ramadan, the month of sacrifice, the month of ibadat, and the month of fasting. Today we have many little friends with us today who it's their first time fasting, and they also have many questions.
So, for this episode, we have a special personality joining us, and you have seen him here before. It is Sajid Ali.
He is going to answer the questions that all of our friends have.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى لعنة الله على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين أما بعد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you and all the viewers. Thank you very much for having me. It is always indeed a pleasure to be with you guys.
When I was younger, I used to want to fast because everyone around me was also fasting. But since I was too young to fast, my parents used to tell me that for kids you can do a half-day rosa. So I would do a half-day rosa, and after a couple hours I would eat food thinking I completed my rosa, and I used to think it was a real thing.
My first full rosa was when I was 7. First question today is from Maryam Musa.
Assalamu alaikum, Sajid uncle. My question is, what is the benefit of fasting?
Excellent question. What are the benefits of fasting? Let's discuss benefits of fasting from at a personal level. When we talk about self-discipline, fasting is also helping us determine how much are we supposed to eat and drink. You know, throughout the year, we tend to overeat at times. We tend to eat or drink things that are not very healthy, that technically we're not supposed to eat or drink, but we end up doing anyways at times, right? Not necessarily that they're haram. For example, drinking soda is not haram, but you know there's a ton of sugar in it. So you're not supposed to consume because it's bad for you. But sometimes we end up doing it. And hopefully with fasting, we can develop a habit of staying away from things that are not healthy for us. Or at least limit them so that they won't cause that much harm to our body, as opposed to if we were to consume them or eat them or drink them on a regular basis. So that's one. B, when we eat things that we're not supposed to eat, when we drink things that we're not supposed to drink, it leaves certain negative impact on our body, on our system. What fasting allows us to do is to allow the body to go through a cleansing process and reverse those damages that excessive eating or consuming something or eating or drinking something that is not good for us leaves it on our body. Fasting reverses that. Fasting allows the body to go through a cleansing process and to bring our body back in a very good shape. As you know, that this is an amanat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is something that is given to you, and we are to give this back someday back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is our responsibility that we must try and keep our body, our mind in the best possible shape, right? And the only way you will be able to do that is to make sure that you eat healthy, that you drink something that is good for you, you stay away from the things that are bad for you, and that is what fasting is supposed to discipline us about. And as I said before, that once you stay away from eating and drinking for the extended period of time, it should allow us to learn to say that even during the times when we can eat and drink things, if we were to come across things that are not so healthy for us, hopefully what we've learned from fasting is to say no to that thing, is to stay away from that thing. And that will allow you to stay healthy for the entire year until you see the next month of Ramadan, inshallah.
Thank you, Sajid Uncle.
Next, we have a cute kid with us, Ali Abbas Aga. Let's see what he has to ask.
Assalamualaikum Sajid Uncle. My name is Ali Abbas Aga and I want to ask a question. Why do Muslims fast?
Excellent question. Why do Muslims fast? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains that in Quran, that He has made fasting must, obligatory for the followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, just like He made it compulsory for people before them. Conditions were different, durations may vary, but the idea, the motive was the same. What was the idea behind fasting? So that we learn self-discipline, so that we have empathy for others, so that we feel for those who are less fortunate. What do I mean by that? Do you know that there are people in the world that go by days without any food? And it's not because they're fasting. It's because they cannot afford to have food on the table. Do you know that there are people out there who go thirsty for hours because they have no access to clean water? Yes, there are people out there. What fasting is supposed to do is to, A, allow us to self-discipline ourselves. Just so that you have something in access doesn't mean that you should consume it all. When you have something in access, what Islam wants you to know is that it is an onus upon you to deliver that access to someone who is in need. That's precisely why you have that particular item in access. That may very well be food, that may very well be water, that may very well be wealth, money. If you have anything that you have that is in access, what do I mean by access is that you have something that is more than what you actually need, then that is considered an access. And once you have something in access, then you are bound with the responsibility to deliver that access to those who are in need. That is the message. Another message is that once you have developed the feelings for those who are less fortunate, then you take that step, then you move forward and help those in need. You will do it wholeheartedly once you have put yourself into their shoes. And that's exactly what fasting allows us to do, is to put ourselves into shoes of those who are not so fortunate. And then we step up and do something about it.
MashaAllah, good answer, Sajid Uncle.
Next is here a question from Sania Zara.
Assalamu alaikum Maulana Saf. I'm Sonia Sarah. I'm 8 years old and I have a question. How should we respect Ramadan when fasting is not wajib on us? I mean, how should we respect the holiness of this month?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What can you do to respect the holiness of this month? Great question indeed. And in fact, it's actually connected with our previous question that I just answered. When you fast, even though it's not wajib upon you, hopefully you will understand what it's like to fast. And though you might be doing on occasions such as weekends because it's not wajib upon you and you're starting to learn, but as you fast that one particular day, hopefully you have developed respect and care for those who fast throughout the month. As they say, charity begins from home. So how about that? Let's say I am in a habit of asking for everything when I need. Mom, I'm hungry. Can I get some food, please? Dad, can you please get me a glass of water? During the holy month of Ramadan, you know your parents are fasting. Or there are a lot of people that fast other than the month of Ramadan as well. How about this time when you know they're fasting? You don't ask them. You get up yourself. And if you have the permission, you take the food out of the fridge, heat it up, and have it when you need it. How about you fill up the glass of water yourself? If you are an older sibling, a 12, 13-year-old boy, obviously, who's not fasting, how about taking care of little ones, knowing that this will allow your parents to get some rest because they're fasting? Help them with their homework. How about helping your parents with suhoor or iftar preparations? How about helping in the kitchen, washing dishes, cleaning things up? Every step that you will take with the intention of helping your parents or anybody else within the household, knowing the fact that they're fasting, you cannot imagine the sawab that will be written for you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recitation of Quran as much as possible. As much as possible. You know, this is the month where Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How about paying extra respect? If you were in a habit of recitation, hopefully at least a page per day, how about that you try and do one chapter a day so that you will finish the Quran by the end of the Ramadan, or as much as possible, right? It's the intention that counts. It's not how much you do it. It's what you do with what intention that gets counted in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So keep that in mind, right? When you have visitors, when you have your cousins or your friend come over during the month of Ramadan, and though it's not wajib upon them and you know that they're fasting, how about not eating or drinking in front of them? How about suggesting things to do it for fun or to do it Islamically otherwise that are appropriate for the month of Ramadan, and also respecting the fact that they're fasting? How about not forcing them to play something that will make them thirstier or hungrier? How about that? So having that feeling is something that can go a long way, and that is something those who are not fasting must follow with the best of their ability to ensure that they respect the holiness of the month of Ramadan.
MashaAllah. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Abai Zara to ask us a question.
Assalamualaikum Sajid uncle. I want to ask how sick you have to be to skip your fast.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How sick do you have to be in order to skip fasting? Allah does not want things hard for us. Allah does not test any soul beyond its capabilities. The only person that can tell you not to fast based on your condition is that yourself and your doctor, a health expert. If you assess that your condition is not as such that you can fast, you can skip fasting and then make up for that after the month of Ramadan. If your doctor advises you based on certain conditions that they have prescribed you medication and then say you must take your medication on time and therefore I would not recommend that you fast, then you must not fast. Right? God forbid you're not going to get gunnah for that, because Allah knows your condition, right? And if your condition is fine and somehow you yourself have convinced yourself that you must skip fasting, then you are answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not up to me to judge, because there's no way that I can ever feel how you feel. If you are unwell, Allah does not allow me to judge, because I'm not a health expert. So either yourself or your doctor can really determine whether you should or shouldn't fast. And if they think that it's okay to fast, if you think it's okay to fast, then you should fast. If you think that it's not okay, that you will not be able to take it, then you can skip fasting and then you fast when you possibly can.
Thank you. Now we have two young girls who would like to ask Sajid Uncle a question.
we have Shanzeh and Aarif Jaffri.
Assalamu alaikum, Sajid uncle. We want to ask you, when we fast, do we get any sawab at this age?
Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah. Excellent question indeed. Yes, you definitely will get sawab. The month of Ramadan is as such that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that even when you're breathing, when you breathe in and when you breathe out, it is counted as you've performed a tasbih. Even when you're sleeping in the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed angels to count that as act of worship, as if you're praying. So there's sawab for every action that you do in the month of Ramadan, provided that it is not haram. You will get sawab for that. So absolutely, even though it's not wajib upon you, when you fast, you get a lot of sawab for that. And that's saved for you. But please understand that sometimes it brings about a confusion to say that, oh, I fasted 5 days, even though when it wasn't wajib upon me. And then when it does become wajib upon you and you tend to miss 5 fasts, and sometimes people may think that those 5 fasts that I performed when it was not wajib upon me can make up for those days that I've missed while it was wajib upon me. That is not correct. While the sawab is written for you, it does not compensate for any wajib fasting that you may have missed. So that's one thing to note. A lot of sawab. And what this also allows you to do is to self-discipline yourself for the month of Ramadan when it will become wajib upon you. So there's a lot of things that you can learn. You might make certain mistakes. For example, you might do certain things that you're not supposed to do while you're fasting, but you didn't know. But you learned them while you're fasting when they were not wajib upon you. So it's an amazing exercise. I would encourage every single one of you, for the girls that are under the age of 9 Islamically, and for the boys who are under the age of 14, please make sure that you pray. Please make sure that you fast. If you have pocket money, try and give charity out of that. It's not wajib upon you, but discipline yourself for the time when it will become wajib upon you. It will make it that much easy for you to follow the rules of Islam if you were to start practicing now. And there is the amount of sawab is something that we cannot calculate. So excellent question, and please do fast when you can. Thank you.
Thank you for that insightful answer.
Next, we have Raza Abbas Jaffri. Let's see what he's asking.
Alaikum Sajid bhai. The Quran ayats, as we know, the Quran ayats were revealed in different times and places. Example, when Imam Ali was in Roku and gave his ring, an ayat came. And when Bibi Fatima and her family gave the roti to the poor, an ayat came. And when Mubahala happened, an ayat came. So then why is it said that the Quran was revealed on Laylatul Qadr, just in one night?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you so very much for calling me Bhai. You have no idea how it makes me feel right now. I feel 20 years younger. So thank you for that. Thank you for making me feel that way. Coming back to the question, it's a very, very tough question and an excellent one indeed. I commend your observation. On one hand, we have the segregation of Makki Surah, the surahs that were revealed in the holy city of Medina. They're called Madani surahs. And then we have the surahs that were revealed in the holy city of Makkah, which are called Makki surahs. So when we have this segregation, how is it that, and I believe you're referring to Laylatul Qadr, Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr, that we have sent down the Quran on that night. That's usually how it is translated as. But please note, in this ayah, nowhere the word Quran is mentioned. Based on my limited knowledge, what it is referred here as the night when the very first revelation took place, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam was in the cave of Hira, and when Gabriel, by the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, came down with the very first revelation, which after Surah Al-Hamd, you will see that in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Iqra bi-ismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Read in the name of your Lord. Now, two side notes here, extremely important. In Shia school of faith, we do not believe that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam became aware of Quran in bits and pieces or as it was revealed. It is our belief that when Prophet was sent down on this earth, he was sent down as Prophet with the comprehensive knowledge of Quran and all the other books that were revealed before Quran on other prophets. So it is extremely important to know that our Prophet was aware of every single letter of Quran since birth. He was sent down as a prophet. He did not become prophet overnight or on one special occasion. He always was a prophet and will always be a prophet. So that's one. The second thing which is extremely important to understand, which I touched upon previously, is that Quran, when you take a look at the ayah, we have a hadith that explains to us that every ayah of Quran has an apparent meaning, has a very simple, clear meaning. That's one meaning. And then there are 7 hidden meanings of each ayah. And from each of the hidden meaning, you can open up to 70 doors of discussion on various different topics. From one hidden meaning, you can open up 70 other topics of discussion. The more you learn, the more you become familiar with the language, the irfan, the ma'rifat increases, you will be able to conquer different layers of the meanings of each ayah. And that's precisely why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that there is not a thing that is dry or wet that I've created that is not discussed in that book. And when you take a look at the book, it has 30 chapters and you wonder how is it possible? It's absolutely possible because these are the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's full of wisdom and nothing else. So it is also important to understand that this Laylatul Qadr, some urafas have referred to that as the holy personality of Bibi Zahra salamullah alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So, as I said, nowhere in the ayah the word Quran is mentioned. So you cannot say for certain that it's saying that the entire Quran was revealed in one night. What I have learned from the ulamas and the books that I've gone through is that it's being referred as the very first night when the very first revelation took place. And I've also given you the reference of that after Surah Al-Hamd, the very first ayah, Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Read in the name of your Lord. I hope that answers your question. And if that is not clear, you're very welcome to reach out to me, or better yet, reach out to scholars. Those will be able to give you a much, much better explanation of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sajid Uncle. We have one final question.
Now let's hear from Hazara Ali.
Assalamu alaikum, Sajid Uncle. Why do the dates of Ramadan change every year?
Very good question. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I believe what you're trying to ask is that why isn't the case like English months, where Ramadan is fixed? For example, every year that will be 1st of April. Why does it keep on changing? To answer your question, it is important to understand that the Islamic calendar is based on lunar system, and that is with the birth of moon. And sometimes you'll have a moon that will come up in 29 days, sometimes it will complete the whole cycle of 30 days. So with that difference, you'll have about 10 days or so every year that the Islamic month is going to move back. And that's precisely why, because the birth of moon is not fixed, and we are instructed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that we're supposed to follow the lunar calendar, and therefore it can never be fixed. With the birth of moon, it will change every year, and that's why you see a difference of 10 days or so every year that it moves back. A time will come in few years where we'll be inshallah celebrating Ramadan in winter time, where the fasting is going to be very, very short, as opposed to these days or the previous years that we've experienced in the midst of summer, where the days are very, very long. So it's based on the birth of moon, and hence the changes.
Thank you, Sajid Uncle.
Mashallah, good answer, Sajid Uncle.
No, thank you guys. Thank you very much indeed. As I said before, and I will say it again, it is always a pleasure to be with you guys. And I hope it was beneficial. I hope that you guys were able to learn something out of it. I certainly have. And I wish you all very best with your future endeavors. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase your tawfiqat. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This concludes today's episode.
Thank you for watching Youth Corner with Jaffri Sisters.
Stay home, stay safe, stay blessed. Happy Ramazan. Keep watching us on
Qaim TV.
Ramzan, Ramzan, yu qaim hai Ramzan. Ramzan, Ramzan, yu qaim hai Ramzan. Sadqa आले मोहम्मद से बाकी है इसकी शान. Ramzan, Ramzan, yu qaim hai Ramzan. Ramzan, Ramzan, yu qaim hai Ramzan. इसके तवस्सुल से हर घर में खूब समाया है. सहरी हो या अफ्तारी में दस्तरखान सजा है. होती है रौनक घर में जब आते हैं मेहमान. रमजान रमजान यूं कायम है रमजान. रमजान रमजान